The Camino de Santiago is a journey I've been looking forward to for 10 years. I finally had the opportunity and the means to do that. So I started preparing for it quite some time before and began to lay out things that took to get there. And so this is an opportunity to look at that together. I began to prepare, and I had arranged for the company to move my suitcase from hotel to hotel. So all I had was a day bag that I needed to carry, which ended up with way too much stuff in it. You can see what's laid out there. Was all supposed to go in my pack. And then I put the rest of my stuff that I was taking with me in a suitcase here on the other side. And the stuff's got shuffled back and forth pretty quickly so that I could decide what I needed when I got there. And again, carried way too much stuff. But I wanted to make sure that I had everything. And the saying is you carry your fears in your backpack. Apparently my fears and my suitcase. This is a map of the area of Spain. The blue line is called the Francais path. There's all those paths are Camino trails. And the one I did started way in here at Sarria. You can see it about center of the screen. Through Melide into Azura and then on to Santiago de Compostela, which is where the cathedral is located. All right, here's the first step of my Camino. As I step out of the apartment, the door pulls shut behind me. And so it begins. I flew into Madrid and spent the night in a nice hotel close to the train station. And in the morning I came over to the train station and I was looking for people with backpacks and sticks, thinking I'd find somebody from someplace that I hadn't met before. It turned out they were from Illinois. From Madrid was a high-speed train into Sarria, where the walk began. And we just had a hotel there, early start the next morning. You can see it started in the dark with a few other people. They quickly outpaced me, but this was going to be the norm for the trip. Lots of times the trail was pretty decent crushed rock, and there was almost always lots of people walking with me. There's hundreds of people on this thing, so while I was alone, there wasn't a chance of being really lonely. And this is the markers we saw all over we go, and this is the 100-kilometer marker. The 100-kilometer marker is the minimum you have to walk from that marker to Santiago to get your credentials. Often the trail narrowed down and went through deep woods and river crossings. This gentleman I walked with for a day, he was an international banker from Chicago. Everybody helped everybody get across the river here, and we all managed to get down the way in a little bit different look at the path. Most of the area we walked through was agricultural. In between the small villages, there were lots of pretty scenes like this with sheep and some cattle, a little agriculture. They raise a lot of their own grain and fruits and vegetables there. You can see this is a hora. It's a place where they put their grains and vegetables up on there where mice can't get to it. And they're protected. They're a historical monument according to Spain. So if you have an old one on your property, you have to maintain it and you can't tear it down. All along the Camino are small chapels. This one has a retablo, a drawing, usually on metal and wood, of St. Mary, and then a little altar that's covered with people's rocks and pictures and things that they were praying for on the Camino. These things are pretty common along the trail. You see lots of them, and people leave lots of things there. It was all kind of pretty special. The trail paralleled this little cemetery, so we cut through there and took some pictures. It's all pretty unusual little churches that are the community, and then all the graves in those, all the bodies in those little mausoleum type things. And I don't know why necessarily they bury them above ground. I'm sure some of these are quite old. The trail continues along the way, and in the little villages, sometimes out in the open, they'll have little tapas bars where you can stop for a cup of coffee. You can stop in and get a sandwich if your Spanish is good enough. And this is where you see everybody stopping. They all come in, get a little something to eat, and then continue the walk. At the end of a long day, some 15 miles, carrying a pack heavier than it needed to be, we arrived in Porto Marin. We had a good meal. It was good to sit down and eat, and I was really, really tired.
In the final few steps of coming into the hotel yesterday, I would have told you that I would not make it today. I couldn't possibly walk another step. Really sore and tired. Even strangers asked me if my hotel was close by. Apparently, looking at me, they were worried. But I made it to the hotel. I got a shower, and I got some Tylenol and the rest of that. A decent meal last night, really good chicken, and I've slept well, finally. As opposed to last night, I didn't sleep at all. So today I'm trying to shove everything into the suitcase, leave the pack as empty as possible, and see if I can go again. So this is me trying to make it one more day.
Starting out of Puerto Marine, this little trail of road led down to the bridge, and we climbed from that bridge all the way up to here. So the first couple hours, it seemed like it was almost all uphill. Difficult walking, lots of stopping to breathe and pretending to take pictures as I was trying to catch my breath. But it's a pretty part of the world, just really nice. A little fewer walkers, most of them went faster than me. And we can see into the forest there and the clouds. It was just a pretty day. This is where the trail ran alongside the road for a while. It was a little noisier there. I liked it when it was further away. There's lots of people in this part right here. And then on down into the forest. It gets really dark back in there as the trees cover the trail, but it is really nice and cool and pretty. Arriving in Palos de Rey, my instructions were to call the hotel people and they would come get me, which took them about an hour, and we drove about 10 minutes out of town, way out in the country, and I didn't necessarily want to be out there. But we ended up at this most beautiful bed and breakfast place run by a couple of people that had moved here from Germany. But it was really nice, really a pretty place. The room was nice, and then this was the dining room. And when I ate there at 8 o'clock after a wonderful massage, I was the only diner to a beautiful steak dinner with wine, and it was just really lovely. They had a little sitting room off this dining room area. It was such a nice place. As it turned out, there was a trail that started right behind this lovely hotel, which was part of the Primitiva, which took me exactly where I needed to go. And it was a beautiful morning, almost completely by myself. I think I saw 6 people all day, down through the fog, through the farmland, up across a ridge of hills. Just a really beautiful morning, a little bit rainy. We get down a little further, and this next slide you can see the beginning of the eucalyptus forests that are all through there. They grow the eucalyptus forest, and they're really pretty, and they smell really nice. Lots of pretty farmland and little farms nestled down in the countryside. That was one of my best days of walking. You can see another one of the horrors, grain storage. It is a tradition to bring things that are important to you and in a significant place on your journey to leave them behind with one of the markers. And so these I left as part of the journey to turn those loose at that spot. This was a special spot where I decided to leave a special rock that I brought from home. This really spoke to me in this spot with a little stream and a little bench and this particular marker. And so I left this rock that I think my wife had given me. Happens to be etched with a labyrinth that matches my tattoo. So this was a significant moment for me. This is another one of those tapas bars along the route. Everybody comes in, gets a coffee or a beer, something to eat if they need it. There's restrooms. And then lots of people take off their shoes and begin to work on their blisters. So it's kind of an interesting place. This is on down the trail as we come up the hill into the next town. You can see the distances to everywhere. This town is Azura, and my hotel is right the other side of that big mural. I'm glad to be here. It's fairly early in the day. This was a short one. Lots of people abandon shoes that are either worn out or no longer fitting, giving blisters, and this creative person made planters out of them. You see them various places where people have left shoes they've converted to their sandals, or they've bought another pair of shoes. And the rough trail does kind of wear them out quite a bit. But there's always these little streams and another little shrine where people have left things. And here's another carving. Note the boot on top. Somebody had finally given up on those pair of shoes. But rocks and photos and things they brought from home. And then we finally get into Santiago de Compostela. It's a town of about 80,000 people, and it entertains about 400,000 pilgrims every year. The cathedral was started in the year 800, and they have this tradition of that big incense burner you saw a minute ago swinging here. You can see it as it comes across. This occasionally happens if you're lucky in one of the big masses. Big pipe organ. It's a beautiful cathedral. The legend is that St. James is buried there below the altar in a big silver casket. This is the altar in the front of St. James. And you can see the Buto Fumerio again from another angle. It's not really likely that St. James is actually there, but we know somebody was buried there. And this is the goal. This is where everybody comes to try and get to the cathedral and to make one of the pilgrim mass inside. It's a beautiful old architecture. It's been there for 1,000 years. Lots and lots of old downtown, the old town in the city. It was a great journey, and it was difficult at times. And I really struggled with some of the trails because it was hard. They were rocky and rough. And just when I thought I was having a hard time, I run across these people that are making the journey the same as me. And it just was a great trip. I'm still unpacking all the things that this trip meant to me and still trying to figure out some of the things that I learned and thought about. And if you have any questions about the trip at all, feel free to call me, talk to me. I'd be glad to discuss it with you.